Alrighty, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is, I'll name this segment later, GTG spits that grease, etc., etc. Title forever in the works. So, if the title hasn't given me away yet, actually, we're going to speak on why is Wings of Redemption so fearful to go back to LOLCOW Live. Now, I get it. Wings is boring as hell. Everybody kind of knows where you should go, or where you can go, I should say, to watch anything that's Wings related, which is Lummox and Breaking Banquets. There's a few other channels out there too, but those are kind of those are like your mainstays, your two main go-tos, but there are others. And as it pertains to LOLCOW Live, I mean, you can kind of take your pick of channels in which to go to. Speaking of which, that LOLCOW alert guy, who's been wanting to get a job with Keem, let me speak on that really fast. I may dedicate just a video directly to that, but this is on some LOLCOW shit. Basically, LOLCOW Alerts is an independent clipper and editor who has been building up his name going over LOLCOW Live stuff. And he is wanting to get a job with Keem. He was willing to sell the channel to bring it under the umbrella, so on and so forth. I've got a lot to say about it, but we won't do it here. What I will say to him is this. You are a very good clipper. I think you're a good editor. I think you going at Lebroski doesn't make a whole lot of sense, to be honest with you, being that the two of you don't do the same thing. On top of that, you shouldn't have tried to sell your channel to Keem. You shouldn't even be trying to go to Keem for a job. You should be trying to establish a partnership. That's what you should be looking for, a partnership, not to work under Keem, to be honest with you. He'll never respect you. He'll never pay you what you're worth. He'll never do any of those things once he owns you. So a partnership is what you should be shooting for. In any case, for the few of you who may have been keeping up with that, like I said, I'll speak on it because he's talked to Keem, at least on stream, rhyming accidentally, at least twice. It might have been 3 times, but I'm pretty sure it's at least twice. So that's my advice to him. But like I said, I may do a video. I may do one of these just talking about that in particular, because I do think he's good at what he does. I just think that I don't know why he's putting all this extra pressure from Lebroski on himself. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because you guys are in two different, you guys are in the same space, but you guys got 2 different avenues, if you will. And you wanting to work for Keem is never a good idea. You should be wanting to do a partnership with him. You're an independent brand from him. Yeah, you guys share the LOLCOW name, but you're the one who made LOLCOW Alerts what it is, not Keem. Keem needs you. Well, theoretically, you need each other, but Keem kind of needs you to be independent. And truth be told, you need yourself to be independent. The reality is Keem should have already had his own clip channel baked into that universe. He didn't do it because he was depending on the detractor community, the DSP detractor community, and the Wings of Redemption troll community. Let me stop. We'll get to that later. But I'll lay the whole shit out to you. But we'll get to that later. In any case, let's go ahead and get to what y'all here for. Why is Wings of Redemption, Jordan, your boy, pimp, why is he scared to go back to LOLCOW Live? Comes from a multitude of reasons. One, the reality is he's scared of that Discord. He's scared, if you guys remember, after he sat there and jackknifed Kelly through, not through the table. The table had a whole lot more give than, her back had more give than the table did. But when he jackknifed her, or whatnot, or gave her the redemption bomb on that table, that Discord blew the fuck up. And he couldn't handle that. On top of that, he couldn't handle what some of the other hosts and everything thought about that situation. Now, in hindsight, or 2020, we know that the whole thing was alleged. Well, most of us suspected it anyway. The whole thing was staged. The guy, that one dude who's on LOLCOW Cafe, I believe his name is, big guy. He was the one that was supposed to actually get pushed down, which doesn't make any sense, and it wouldn't have been believable anyway. But semantics. It's not like there's really much imagination over there, because if you have to resort to violence, you know what I'm saying? If you have to resort to a violent public stunt to try to get to try to go viral on the internet or try to get a buzz or whatever, it already says that you guys are failing. Anyway, he was that guy was the one that was supposed to get pushed onto the table and then pushed over it. He was never gonna break that table, but he was the one that was supposed to get the business, not Kelly. I personally don't believe that. I think Kelly was always meant to take that bump, to be honest. It just looked more brutal than what they imagined. I think that's what it is. I think they were going through the process when they thought this dumb shit up. They were like, oh, well, yeah, go ahead and push Kelly. You know what I'm saying? It won't be so bad. She'll bounce from it or whatever. And then when you saw it, it looked way more violent than you thought it was. Because I think the guy's name is Ken. If he ends up getting pushed down, no one's going to believe that guy's going to be hurt. He's going to easily just roll that shit off. That Kelly thing didn't look good. It wasn't just how her back hit the fucking table. It was how the back of her head bounced off that table. And ironically enough, she's been fucked up ever since. She's been hurt in all kinds of different ways. So anyway, that's one of the things that he's scared about. He's going to have to sit there and actually deal with that in that Discord from people that he liked, from people like fans, pay pigs, and even other members of LOLCOW, or of the LOLCOW universe, I should say, I'm sorry, who he actually enjoyed talking to. Now he's going to have to face them. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, it's not what people tell you. It's what people don't tell you. And that's what he's scared of. Even though he is the result of corn-pone country pussy, he realizes that people will say whatever they need to say to his face because they know he's a sensitive bitch. But behind the scenes, what they really think about him is he's a wife beater. It wasn't just that table situation, but it's what happened in that car with Twiggy or whatever that spurred was that was in the backseat recording. There's that too. He can't face that. He don't want to face it. That's what he's scared of. And he'll let him and Kelly go broke before that ever happens. The next thing, this is equally as important, ladies and gentlemen, is he don't want to have to go back on stream with them because he puts the blame squarely on Keemstar and on Boogie, maybe the whole universe as a whole. That's what really scares him. That he has to go back on LOLCOW Live and those donations are going to come in and he can't stop it. That there's going to be troll comments in their chat and he can't stop it. That there's going to be troll comments under those videos and he can't stop it. Now, Keem and Boogie, that's what they want. They want that engagement. They want those troll dollars. They want all that. And they need that. Because when you start breaking down early on, some of the super chats and stuff that was coming on, a lot of that was Wings adjacent. So now that's completely gone. Well, it's not completely gone. There's some residual, if you will, out there. But it's not what it was. That's what they want back. And they need Wings for that.
That we are going to go to his house. Since we made that promise to y'all, Kelly joined the Discord. Wings said that we are welcome at his house. And then today, all hell broke loose when I went to Wings' stream and said, hey, Wings, when we chatting? I donated $20 to his stream. And he said never and ended his stream. Now, that was at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. It was early. It was very early. And then at 1 p.m., we got a text message from Wings of Redemption. And I don't think Wings is having a good day. At 1:07 p.m., Wings said, hey, can you guys not show up to my house? Kelly doesn't want to stress about the house. I responded to Wings and said, sure, just have a chat with me and Boogie. Wings said, what is there to talk about? I responded and said, we want you to come back. We already know that you don't want to, but we feel like we should at least have a conversation about it. Wings said, I don't really want to, and it's not going to fix anything if I did. The show is fundamentally, fatally flawed, and coming back isn't going to save it. Cameron, thank you for the one gifted. And I said, bro, our show is doing fine. We're making a killing. This is not about saving the show. The show is totally fine. He goes, well, then you don't need me back. And I go, I didn't say that we needed you back. I said that we wanted you back. I don't think you coming to the main show even makes sense. I go, I think you should have your own show in the network, but that's why I want to get on the phone and talk. We want to talk about all possibilities. He goes, it's not happening, man. I go, well, we just need to talk. And he goes, let's be friends and drop the whole me being in the LCU. And I said, Wings, you're stubborn as hell, but you know that and I know that. If you had your own show in the network that was promoted by me and the network, You know, you would do very, very well and make a lot of money. 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, is all we need you for. And if you want to have a co-host, you can, but you don't need to. And he goes, like I said, I'm not into it. Sorry. And I go, there's another possibility, Wings. You could just commit to a single month. Not come back permanently, just do a show for a month. All right. And even publicly say that. He says no. And I go, we could see how it goes. And if you hate it, then you could leave. Or if you like it, you could stay. We could just do a single week. And he goes, I don't want to be a part of the LCU, man. And I go, people don't want to see you play video games. They want to see you do in a podcast setting. That's where your talent is. And then he stopped responding.
Damn, you hurt his feelings with that one because he's like, fuck, I'm not even good at video games.
And it's not that you're not good at video games, Jordy. It's that people are bored watching you do it unless you're raging, and that's interesting, right? But people are, you were good when you were talking about politics. You were good when you were talking about cars. You were good when you talked about sports. You were good when you talked.
And the thing is, if you think about it in reality, you could say, well, didn't PKA lose out on that? Didn't PKA give that up and walk away and they still did okay? Yeah, sure they did. The entertainment value is questionable. You know what I'm saying? Woody, Kyle's, whatever, and the other guy, the third guy, he's kind of funny. So, occasionally. But, it is what it was. But that was early on. Now, there's so much shit that you can hit Wings with that he just has to sit there and eat it, and he can't. Now, I'm being a hypocrite here. Let's look at the other side of that coin. Wings is doing that shit on his own streams for free, literally free, not getting any of the boost from viewership, not getting any of the boost from actual financial support, and then he's getting trolled in these games. He's stuck. He's absolutely fucking stuck. So literally, and so when you look at it that way, I should say, if you look at what Boogie and Keem are trying to offer him, they're like, hey, you're not getting anything over there, and you're streaming for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in these weird little blocks he does every day or every other day. Just come over here and get this money. Just get this money and whatnot. And hey, maybe you're not comfortable streaming with us right now. I think Keem said, I'm willing to give you like an hour and a half, a 2 hour show in the LOLCOW universe where I'll pay you and whatnot. I'll actually pay you. And then you can go ahead and do what you're doing over here, but you'll do it with the LOLCOW universe. You know what I'm saying? You'll have that backing. You'll have that protection. Basically, Keem's trying to put him in an incubation chamber. Sorry, an incubation beta. Oh, not chamber. I don't want to use chamber. He's trying to put him into incubation. He's trying to protect him, if you will. He's going to take some trolling, this, that, and the third, but there are people within the LCU. The LCU as a whole can basically, can provide him with some type of protection, nourishment, confidence, whatever the fuck, right? To build his ass back up. And then they get Keem back, and then Keem can get him back onto the main roster. That's obviously what the plan is. That shit is not hard to figure out, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? They're all bitches over there anyway, so you got to treat bitches a certain type of way. So that's what they doing. That's all it comes down to. But Wings can't handle that. Wings doesn't want to be looked at as a bitch and as a charity case, but he don't also want to stand up for the actions that he committed, to be honest with you. On top of the whole thing with Becky, you know what I'm saying? What did Wings really bother or disrupt anything by exposing the Becky situation about her, that they already knew she was showing up to Bat Camp and all that bullshit? No, he didn't. It was what people suspected anyway. It doesn't matter. What is the problem is he took the frustration from that and led it into that little gimmick or whatever the fuck that stunt was, and then now someone's actually hurt. That's what it turns into. Matter of fact, let me tell you how much of a coward Wings is, because he's a massive coward. Recently, I got the clip of it somewhere. I got the clip up because I saw it myself. I think I saw it in a Lumix video, Big Ups to Lumix. Kelly wants to join softball. A female not underhanded, slow pitch, I think it was. A female slow pitch softball league. That sounds like a good thing that you would think any husband would want to get behind. Oh, okay, you want to go out there, you want to get some exercise, you want to get into a situation where you can actually conversate and, you know, hang out with people. Sounds good. Sure, why not? This didn't have anything to do with money. And he even said that. He didn't say that. He just didn't bring money up, which means money wasn't what he's worried about. He says, oh, well, if she goes out there, she's going to get bruised up, she's going to get injured, and people are going to automatically blame me for it. Motherfucker, you've probably been beating her already. So who gives a shit, to be honest? On top of that, she's very rarely on camera anyway. And if she does, and what he's really scared of is the fact that if she goes out there and has a good game, she's gonna want Wings to be out there and maybe record some of it. That's what he wants, or that's what he's scared of. You know what I'm saying? If they actually do well, or if she feels like she's having a good game, she may want some of that recorded. And then she's gonna be like, hey, you should show this on stream. You should show where we're playing at, this, that, and third. And that just exposes a whole nother thing that he can't speak away, or he can't whatever. Or she's gonna have games and she's gonna ask him to attend, and he's like, oh, I don't want to do that, I want to play Dark Souls. And whatever. I mean, keep in mind, it's the same piece of shit that sat his ass at home while gangster grandma was dying. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have enough energy for her to be next to her when she was dying. And he damn sure didn't have no energy to go to that funeral, if I remember correctly. But he had enough time to go ahead and play Dark Souls. So of course he's not going to spend no time with Kelly if she does this. So the reality is, it's not so much that he's scared of the bruising that she may get from any sport, and the fact that she has incredibly fair skin and shit, but the fact that it would require him to probably have to do something. Now, like I said, I'll get that clip inserted somewhere in here, because I know I have it myself. I have the raw cut, and then Lummox has it too, so I'll probably use my raw cut.
Kelly wants to join a slow pitch softball league.
Be good form of exercise for. You're right, King Wizard and COD got pretty goofy.
The issue I have with that is she's going to start having bruises and shit on her, and people are going to assume that's me.
You just gotta roll on with your day, brother. Like, they're gonna say the sky's red when the sky's obviously blue.
Yeah.
Like, is what it is.
You're evenly matched.
He's back left side behind the crate. He's pushing up, I think.
Because I can save the Lummox edit for later. On top of that, which is become a much more interesting development, somehow, some way, Keem and Boogie convinced Kelly to join back into the LOLCOW Discord. They're doing that to try to get him back in the pocket, which kind of makes sense. The reality is, Kelly's been wanting to go back into that Discord since day one. She never really wanted to leave. The thought is that Wings asked her to go ahead and leave the Discord because he didn't want anybody coaching her into getting any more information on whether this abuse was a 1 or 2 or 3 time thing, or is it something that's constantly going on? Because Kelly's one of these people that you give her just a little bit of attention, you can get a lot out of her. Wings knows that. So that's why he wanted her up and out that Discord. The fact that she even had to pay to get entry into that Discord don't make no damn sense, because quote unquote they're supposedly a family over there. So why the hell is Kelly paying $20 a month to get into that bitch? Into that fucking Discord? Anyway, semantics. So, there's a problem with that. He's just not willing to face anything. He has, if he goes back to LOLCOW, he has to admit that he failed. Because he's doing worse now than when LOLCOW Live started, which was actually LOLCOW Podcast, if you think about it. He's doing far worse now. Money's slowing up, streams are getting worse and worse, the trolling is ramping up because he's desperate. He's got nothing over here. Now you could say, oh, well, Boogie and Keem are trying to throw him a lifeline, they're trying to help a friend out, fuck all that. That's not what this is. This is business. You know what I'm saying? And I'll do a video on why they need him back, why they want him back so bad. But the reality is that from Wings' side of it, he needs to go back. To be honest, if he's part of the brand, The brand was built on that shit. If he don't go back, then literally Boogie's last man standing, which proves that assholes like me said, that fucking it wasn't gonna last long anyway, and it was bound to fail. You know what I'm saying? And that voice and that rhetoric, that edict has grown louder and louder over the time that whole damn thing has started, especially since Fat Camp. Especially with this fucking weird ass frame up job thing they're doing with Becky. I got to follow up on that coming. So on and so forth. But the reality is, Wings needs that. He needs a reprieve. He needs a comfort zone. He needs a safe zone. Whatever. He needs that away from his own streams. It's the only way that he's going to get his confidence up. It's the only way that they're actually going to get him to do content. And the reality is, funny enough that Keem ain't sat there and echoed this after I had already said it. The reality is, they can have Wings over there on LOLCOW Live without him actually going to any of the events they have to travel to. Because Wings don't want to do that anyway. So they can cut him out of that bullshit gimmick shit. And the reality is, when they have their meetings in those Discords or whatever, the reality is they should do it like a half hour early so everybody's prepped and primed, and then bring Wings in and then tell him whatever they need to tell him, and that's it. Because telling Wings anything is a terrible idea. Inclusion or trusting Wings with anything is a terrible idea, which is yet again sunny point number 3 on why Wings don't want to go back. Nobody trusts him. They know that you can't bring him in on a joke or a gimmick because he's gonna fuck it up. But the reality is, he's been doing that shit since day one. Since day one, he's been doing that shit. Since day one, Wings has been trying to sabotage LOLCOW Live because he realized that it's not going to help his reputation. The money was good. The what, the 6,000 a month or whatever the fuck it's rumored to be. Yeah, that was good money. That was probably great money on top of his percentage from ownership. But the reality is it wasn't actually helping him. It was proving what his namesayers have been said about him for years. But the reality is that Wings don't have nothing left. He's too broken down and beat up to actually try to get back into the Call of Duty commentator sphere. Most people who remember Wings and whatnot, even his contemporaries like 402 Thunder and these guys, they don't got no problem with him. But they use all those meme ass fucking sound clips and shit. They use that stuff in their own content now. Why shouldn't they? So he's already a mockery there. They'll still, if he reached out to them and said, hey, can we get a gaming session going? They do it. But their own audiences know him as a meme and as a joke and as a LOLCOW for those who care. On top of that, he doesn't really have anything to say from a commentary standpoint because he's a known liar. So it doesn't really even matter. Matter of fact, DSP had just fucking spoken about that recently, where it shouldn't matter if Wings lies about whatever he's saying as a story if it's all for entertainment. You shouldn't need the lie to entertain people.
Thoughts on Wings getting caught lying about investing in Aldi's? It's going viral. Aldi? Isn't that like a grocery store chain? I don't really care. The guy, let's be honest here. Wings of Redemption over the years has been a pathological liar about many different things. It's weird, some of the things that he lies about, right? Some of his biggest controversies are the cat in the bucket controversy and stuff like that, right? So why anyone would take what he says seriously, I don't know. I don't think that's where his entertainment lies. It's maybe just hearing what he has to say and enjoying the ride. I don't know why you would watch his stream and be like, oh, I have to take everything he says as like gospel truth. Maybe he's just making stuff up to entertain an audience, which I don't see if there's a real problem with that unless he's being insanely dishonest about like things that like, oh, I was doing an event today because I need to raise money, and then he doesn't put the money towards what he said it's for. I mean, that okay. But outside of that, if he's just messing around, yeah, I invested in Aldi, and then you find out, oh, he never did. Who cares? Who fucking cares? Why is it your business what he puts his money in? If he streams and people give him money, he has the right to spend that money on whatever he wants. And he can tell you about it, or he doesn't have to tell you about it. He can lie about it. He has the right to do whatever the hell he wants, and you'll like it because he already has the money because you gave it to him. So what the hell is your problem? Aldi is a private company. You can't invest in it. Oh, I don't know.
That's the problem. So now you got one pathological liar trying to help out another pathological liar. Fucking A. If that's the case, DSP, then go over there and get a job over there with LOLCOW Live and shit, and then you guys can have you guys can have your little circle jerk if that's really the case. I'll see if I can put that clip in here too. I want to tell you that was in a Lummox video too, but it might have been a Breaking Banquet video now I think about it. But I'll see if I can shoehorn that in here somewhere around here anyway. There. So it should go right there where that Sonnet part is. So there's that. He doesn't have anything to contribute to Call of Duty. Call of Duty gave him everything and he squandered it. He squandered every fucking bit of it. Just like when his mother got into that car accident all those years ago and she got that big ass settlement and she ain't squandered all that fucking money on garbage, on absolute trash, to the point that she had to whore out Jordy over 3 mortgages and shit to get as much money she could get out of his ass. And then the thing is still not in his name. If his mother, God forbid, if Wings' mother drops dead tomorrow, that fucking mobile mansion he lives in goes to his stepfather, because his real father's already passed away. It's gonna go to his stepfather. Either that or it's gonna go to his brother or sister. And that's another thing too Wings needs to ask himself. Why does your mother value your fucking addict brother, your drug addicted brother, and your piece of shit sister over you, when you ain't sat there and done everything in your power to buy her love, buy her affection, just have her around? And she disregards you like you're the redheaded stepchild. Imagine that. The only way Jordy's gonna get that mobile mansion is either he buys it off of his stepfather or his stepfather feels pity for him and lets him just have it outright. You had already paid for that bitch 3 times anyway. Semantics. Absolute semantics. Anyway, he has nothing to offer Call of Duty, and Call of Duty at this point don't have nothing to offer him. It's too slow. His reactions are bad. He's trying to shoehorn basically Rainbow Six Siege tactics into Call of Duty, which doesn't even make sense anymore because Call of Duty isn't really even about first-person tactics anymore. So I get the idea, but in practice it don't work. It is what it is. I may actually do a video on that, to be honest with you. That most people who that if you look at like mainstream Call of Duty players, they're not actually first-person shooter players. They're just Call of Duty players. And that's why when you're seeing these Battlefield 6 expeditions or whatever, you're seeing these streams on it or whatever, some of these Call of Duty guys are out here looking crazy, like running around there knife only, trying to do silly shit. Dumb. Y'all are dumb. And then, speaking of which, I know I'm going on a tangent, but it's weird that you guys are having a Battlefield 6 event and there's barely any Battlefield fucking content creators invited. There were some, yeah, but you guys brought in a bunch of Call of Duty heads, right, who had already fucked up a game already, for the most part, not all of them, but most of them, already fucked up one game to promote another one. And most of these people are being accused of bots and or being investigated for botting. Whatever, like I said, it's if you look at, I guess, gaming from that standpoint, it's become more of a show and tell. There is really not a whole lot of substance and shit, but semantics. Anywho, he doesn't have anything to offer to Call of Duty. Call of Duty doesn't have anything to offer to him. He can't go to Rainbow because Rainbow's far more delicate, as well as the time to kill is a whole lot quicker. And yet again, in just being real, shouts out to Liquid Richard, he was carried to Diamond in those early years. Those early years of Rainbow, he was carried, kicking and screaming, but he was carried to where he was. Yeah, he still had pretty good aim. Yeah, he had some decent situational awareness, but really he was carried. He would have never have gotten as far as he did if it wasn't for the people that were around him at that time. Those people are gone, long gone. And Winks can't reach out to none of them, and even if he's tried to, they don't want to deal with him. And I don't blame him, because he was a hindrance to them. He was a waste of space. He was dead weight. So what else does Wings play outside of those 2 games right there? He's just playing for, like single player games. Truth be told, Wings probably doesn't have a lot really he can add to or give to gaming. When he gets into, I think Wings used to play Battlefield 4 at the very least. We'll see if he decides to jump on the Battlefield situation. We'll see how he does there. But I don't think he's going to be able to spit that bullshit and his supposed fake ass tactics to guys who actually are entrenched in Battlefield. He's going to be, he's going to be a lot like a DSP, where he's going to need to prey upon inexperienced players to have them on his side, to have them believe he knows what he's talking about, and to yet again just carry him. I honestly think that's what the situation is. But we'll see. Time will tell. Anywho, let's go ahead and get ready to close up shop. We opened early today. Wings doesn't want to deal with the reality of the situation. If he didn't, he gambled and he lost. End of story. That's really what it comes down to. He gambled and he lost. Does he owe Keem? Does he owe Boogie? Maybe he does owe them 6 months or a year and whatnot until they can actually get somebody to replace him. But the reality is that if Keem or Boogie or both can get him through the door, they're never going to let him back out. Ever. They'll lock his ass down and whatnot. Hell, Keem will probably sue his ass if he tries to break contract again. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Wings needs LOLCOW and LOLCOW needs him. The reality is that he's going to have to go into that Discord and he's going to find that people who used to like him, they may act like they still like him, but the tone's going to be different. And he's going to be able to pick up on that because he's sensitive. And truth be told, when people feel a certain type of way about you after you've done something that goes against what they think or what they believe or how they feel or whatever, you're usually never going to get that back. And Wings doesn't want to rebuild. Wings doesn't want to start over. That camp was one of the worst things that happened to LOLCOW Live. Theoretically, it killed whatever image that Wings was trying to build in that fucking Discord. That Wings of Redemption is dead. End of story. He's not willing to face the music on what Jordy has to now deal with. Wings of Redemption's dead. Jordy Jordan has to pick up the pieces or has to live with it, and he don't. He'd rather wallop in his own filth and fail and die slow instead of going into that Discord and facing the music. And then more importantly than that, keep moving forward knowing that some of those people don't like you, or some of those people don't trust you, or some of those people think you're the wife-beating piece of shit that you probably are anyway, or wife abuser, or whatever the case may be. That's what he don't want to deal with. Now, does Wings have to do it? Does Wings theoretically owe them? That's debatable. I feel like he's obligated to them at least 3 to 6 months, but I'm not asking him to do it for free. He owes them, I would say he owes them a season. Maybe a season and a half, theoretically. He owes them at least that. Season and a half. And then call it a clean break and that's it. You know what I'm saying? And make sure that's in your contract. But he won't. Because he needs and he wants to be able to socialize with people. People outside of the trolls, people outside of all the other shit. But he can't do that now because he's already tainted his reputation with them. I heard that Kelly was treated fairly well when she got back. But then again, Kelly didn't do anything wrong except for stand by her abusive ass fucking husband. Outside of her doing that, she really didn't do anything wrong. But Jordy knows deep down that those people don't like him. He knows deep down that he'll never have the same vibe with them as he did before. More importantly, he knows what those people say, at least some of them, I should say. He knows what some of those people say behind his back. And I think that hurts him more than anything. Want to know why it hurts? Not because they talked behind his back, because what they said about him is true. That's what hurts him more than anything. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys for the next one of these, whenever that may be. Hopefully sooner than later. I think it says point and shoot is that, to be honest. But anyway, in the next video I'm recording, it probably won't come out after this. But the next video I'm gonna record, we'll talk about why Keem, Boogie, and LOLCOW universe needs why they need Wings. Theoretically. Keem needs that redemption story. No pun intended. And I think that's one of the reasons why he wants Wings back. He needs that redemption story. Not so much for the LOLCOW universe, but I think Keem needs it for himself. More than anything. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Anyway, thank you guys very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. This has been, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease, so on and so forth. I'll catch you guys for the next one. Later, my people.